Hi everyone, welcome to another edition of It's Your Money. I'm Joanne Morgano and I'm joined by my fabulous co-host, Martin Salzman. As usual, we have another great show for you. Our guest today is Carrie McNally of Goldstone Realty. She's the CEO there, and we're going to hear about her personal journey in starting this fabulous organization. But first, I know you have questions and want to hear our take on what's happening in the market. So Martin, go ahead.
Yeah, and great to be with you, of course, Joanne. I like that fabulous.
I know, you
like
always
that.
say that, Martin.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So let's just get right into it. The market turbulence is crazy, and most of this is brought about by the whole tariff situation. And every time there's a headline, especially if it's negative, all of a sudden it feels like we just lose 1,000 points like it's nothing. The last day and a half or so, we've had some positive news where countries are now coming with a guideline for working out the tariff issue. India was one of the recent ones, Japan another one. The elephant in the room, though, is China, and it seems like some of the back and forth tension is not as hot as it was. And it just seems like there's some snippets out there where China seems to be willing to talk, as long as they're being treated right. Is that what you're hearing too?
Yeah, I'm hearing that, but it's still causing a lot of turbulence.
Angst,
I mean, you know, and I think that a lot of the triggers are certainly with what the president may say. So, and then the news media gets it. So, you know, we've been on a positive upswing a little bit the last couple of days with the intention of not firing Jerome Powell. So that's a good thing. And, you know.
Yeah, well, let's talk about that for a second. Like most presidents, they want to see interest rates lower. Why? Because then it makes for the refinancing of the debt that the government carries easier, right? Better to refinance lower than higher. It also makes real estate, you know, maybe more affordable, especially for first-time home buyers. And we have a guest today we'll talk to about real estate and that. But, you know, Powell is supposed to be an independent person. The Federal Reserve is an independent body. But Trump is pretty boisterous. He wants to let the world know, hey, he's late. He was late last time when we were calling for interest rates to be raised, and now he's being late when it comes to dropping.
And the last drop, you know, he didn't drop it, but the EU did. And usually the EU steps with us. So, and they went ahead, and I think that's what kind of caused some of the angst.
Yeah, and some of it also goes back to pre-election. The Federal Reserve lowered rates twice, a quarter point, right before the elections. And some people are saying, why are you doing that? It seems like it's a little political. But now that we're starting to see a slowdown in some of the economic numbers, why is he waiting to act more aggressively? And I think there's a fair point there. So it'll be interesting to see how that dance plays out. And then, of course, I want to touch on this because Joanne and I, for all these years, we've talked about the metals, gold, silver, things like that. We have seen gold go on a rip, not seen in quite a long time. It wasn't that long ago that gold was $2,400 the ounce. Well, it hit this week $3,400 an ounce. Now it's backed off a little bit, a little profit taking.
32.81.
Yeah, and part of this has to do with the U.S. dollar index. When the U.S. dollar is strong, everybody says, well, we want a strong dollar. Okay, it means one thing. But when the dollar begins to drop, that's another thing. Is it dropping because of economic reasons? Is it dropping for other reasons? But meanwhile, metals have gone up a lot. So,
yeah, and metals are a good hedge.
Yeah, and people ask us, you know, hey, where can I buy gold? You can buy gold in the form of coins. You can buy an ETF made up of miners. You can buy an ETF that tracks gold bullion or silver mining companies or silver ETFs. So, you know, we're not advocating to now go out and buy them, but certainly those that have had the metal in their portfolios as a hedge, they've done pretty well for themselves.
And you can actually hold the actual bullion too.
Yes,
the
you
coins.
can. Yes, you can. So, look, we could talk all day.
So yeah, there is market
crazy.
Volatility, and I like to tell my clients this. If you looked at your portfolios this time last year, you were happy. And this is they're pretty much close to where they were. But it's just they had such a big jump in November and December. So people have that perception that they've really lost a whole lot. But this time last year, in the middle of the summer, people were very happy.
They were, but it's what have you done for me lately, right?
Exactly.
So without
I know.
any further ado,
Yes.
let's get to our special guest. And I've gotten to know Carrie McNally recently, and she's a unique woman and a woman-owned business, let's say. And Carrie's the CEO of Goldstone Realty, and they're not like other realty houses out there. Carrie went on this journey a couple of years ago. She has approximately 115 reps that work for her. She does have a partner who is more out in the field and sales, and Carrie, I believe, would call herself more of the inside person, helping reps. They're very, very unique, and we're going to hear a lot about Carrie. So, Carrie, welcome to the set.
Thank
It's
you.
nice to have you.
I
so
can read
much.
all day about you, but we want you to tell us
Sure.
something about yourself as well.
Of course. So I just 2.5 years ago, we opened up Goldstone Realty. We have not only we started with a commercial division, and then we opened a residential company. We have a title company and a school, a real estate school, which is doing nicely.
That's nice.
great.
And 2.5 years. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
You got a lot accomplished in 2.5
Yeah, thank
years.
you.
And multiple offices, I should say, too, right? One in the Toms
So
River.
yeah, so we have one in Holmdel is where we started in the Bellworks building of Holmdel, which is an amazing building. And then we are in the Silverton section of Toms River on Church Road as well.
So how long did it take you to think about this before you started this?
So I've been in real estate for
30
years. And I think, throughout my career, I've had multiple people approach me to open up my own company. And it wasn't the right time. I have 2 children, and I really wanted to be a mom and be there. So
it's
my real
important.
estate career through that and that journey allowed me to, be very flexible, being an agent, and then I went into management. And from there, I'm glad that I actually went through all of the processes because I really was able to learn everything that I needed to know about, opening the company and what we're doing today.
So it's very, very impressive. Now, Martin said that it's unique. Why don't you tell us some differentiators or what makes you so unique?
Yeah, so our biggest difference between many of the companies, they'll say that, they do training and other companies do that, but we do a lot of one-on-one coaching. So I don't list and sell. I am there solely for the success of our agents. I work one-on-one with all of them to help them build their businesses, and that ultimately is the reason why we grew so fast.
Yeah, and I might want to just add that most of the people that I know in the trade that are owner-operators, they tend to be like producers.
Yeah.
And, that's kind of challenging, and I think that's what makes you so unique because you're able to really help these
You kind of left the
reps.
field.
I did. I made that choice during the time that I was actually managing for another company. I was a top producer, and usually, like you said, most of the owner or managers, they're usually the top producers in the office. They're usually the ones that, everybody has their own platform, right? And it's not that it's bad or good, it's just that it's different. And for us, our bigger piece of it is that it just allows us to work with them solely. And so I'm sorry, I kind of just missed myself for a second there, but
all right.
we're rewinding. So one of my bigger pieces is that when I was producing agent and managing, I would get phone calls, right? And if it was a client, I had to take that phone call. If it was an agent and I'm on the call with a client, I have to give to the public first. And so I was finding myself dividing my time between what was for my agents, and that was at that moment I made the choice. I couldn't continue to wear both hats, and I needed to make the choice either to be an amazing agent and just do that, or to actually do what I'm doing.
So
and this is where my passion is.
So it's amazing that, we all seem to have these defining moments in our career. And I think Oprah Winfrey, she called it the aha moment. But what have been some of the challenges that you've encountered that you weren't expecting? Or did you expect it all?
As being an agent, or as when I opened the company?
Your company, yes.
I think your biggest challenge is just time management. Creating the companies itself, making sure that all of the pieces run together. Also making sure that you have the right staff. So in the beginning, the staff wasn't exactly where I needed it to be, but when I am just unbelievably blessed for the staff and the passion that they have that are with me. They all see, sometimes I feel like they can sometimes see me further down the road than I see myself. And they definitely support and help me do all of the things that I'm trying to do. But I think it's just juggling all of the pieces and making sure that they're all set up.
And you opened a lot of companies at the same time, so it wasn't just like one company.
Right.
So I know, Martin, you probably have a question.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you this because, our viewers are going to want to hear from you about real estate in general.
Yeah.
So, of course, many of our viewers are from New Jersey, right? We're more or less the East Coast. But can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on right now in real estate? Supply, demand, things of that sort.
So we definitely had a little bit of a slowdown in like January going into February, which I was, it usually always slows down right around that Christmas, but it usually picks up like the second week of January. We saw it travel a little bit longer. We're definitely back in it. We absolutely, and actually Joanne and I were having this conversation earlier, that it's a little different from where you are, but here, like we're really, Monmouth Ocean County is our heart of what we're doing, and things are popping. I mean, we just had one deal that went 60,000 over asking. We had another one just this weekend that went 45,000, another one that went 24,000. We had 32 people at one open house, another one had 24.
So again, that sort of brings me back to supply demand then.
Yeah.
It seems as though there's still not a lot of supply on the market, yet the demand is high. Otherwise, how are you getting premiums like this,
Yeah.
So the supply has been definitely low for a very long time and has, I think, made a lot of people very frustrated. The interest rates obviously aren't helping, but I think that more so, we've had a lot, especially of the first-time home buyers. More first-time home buyers are more disheartened, not necessarily by the interest rates, but by the supply and demand.
Yeah.
And the cost they have to pay now for a house that might have been $100,000 less a few years ago.
I
And
think,
just getting beat out.
Yeah, and I think buyers know that there's always times when they can refinance.
Yeah.
When the markets, when interest rates go down.
Yeah, I always say you live with in the house, right? You're gonna pay somebody. Either you're paying the bank or you're paying the homeowner.
Joanne, I know you want to. We have so many things.
I know you have 115 agents that work with you. Are you still in growth mode? How are you attracting more talent?
So we are in major growth mode.
Okay.
And I think that, one of the questions I think it kind of echoes what you're asking me. Our challenges is making sure that you are scaling as you're growing. And that definitely is a challenge, to make sure that the support is what I'm offering the agents and promising the agents continue to stay, right? So I have the two amazing coaches and I have a social media marketing director. But we're still growing. As far as how do we capture people, I have been in the business for 30 years.
So your name's out there.
So I am. People know who I am, and my agents are unbelievable. Most of them are bringing the people to me, and that, I can't say thank you enough for that.
So really, you don't have to do that massive recruiting.
I do.
You do? Okay.
I still do it. That, I think, is the reason why we've grown so fast. That's just always been me. I am a very hard recruiter. But I do it for the passion, because I know that there are people that are struggling out there. 95% of the agents that I have are coming to me from Brand X because they need something else.
Right.
And so that's what I'm here to help.
Importantly also is retaining them, because there's incentives out there to leave and go elsewhere thinking, the grass is greener somewhere. So how do you keep them? How are you keeping them loyal?
We make it as fun as we possibly can. But I think that the one-on-one coaching is probably the biggest position that I have, because I'm helping them truly build their business, and they see it in real world time. And they know that they're not getting that personal attention that I do offer all of them. can call me any time of the day. Yeah, I think that's my biggest position. The harder piece of retention is ultimately the agents that think that they want to be in the business, but when they get down to the nitty gritty of it, it becomes the business is challenging.
Yeah, and there's an attrition rate, I'm sure,
Exactly.
with that.
Yeah.
That's more of the.
So let's talk about game changers for you. Maybe like a tech tool, or was there anything like that that helped you fuel this on?
So, I mean, we have fuel, like the company.
Yes, that made it a little easier for you to start the business, or any AI tools, or
So we have what's called like KV Core. That's like one of the leaders in contact management.
Okay.
But
maybe
we
not.
have all of those pieces,
Right.
but I definitely attribute the difference between us and the other company. Everyone needs someone, especially when you're talking about the pressure and the negotiating positions you need to have. You can't just do it on your own. I mean, people say that they can, and that's fantastic. But no matter what, at what level you are in business, you need to have a coach. I have a coach. And you're just only stronger when you have someone with you to build
with
what
that.
you need to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
How about you, Martin?
Some of these business tools, I don't know if Joanne was referring to it, but they could just be